Ben, before we get into who you sat next to yesterday, this is, I mean, you've participated in this event half a dozen times or so, right?
Yeah, so this is all I did before the sports media career. I mean, I was a poker pro from 2006 2014, and it actually started playing $5 games in the ATO house at Ole Miss, to be truthful, back when I was in college. But, yeah, so this is my seventh main event. I've done well. I got 75th in it for $90K in 2011, which is the peak of my poker career for sure. And then I got 327th for like 40K in 2018 when I was making a little comeback. But yeah, and then I missed, and I, in another four times I didn't cash. But yeah, it's just awesome being back here, man. Yesterday was insane. I mean, yesterday was one of the crazy. I don't know what's going on these days, Borky. It's getting wild.
So, how does that work? So it's not like the U.S. Open in golf, right, where anybody with a 2 handicap or below has a chance. I mean, if you have the money, right, you can buy into that thing. So how long does it take, like, before you get into the money? I know that's a very elementary question for you, but
No worries at all. So the way it actually works, if you want to know the behind-the-scenes money stuff,
sure,
man, hardly anybody's putting up $10,000 to play in this thing. What happens is people sell to all their friends and their families and investors, and like most people that are in this thing probably put up, $1,000 to $3,000 and sell the rest, because 10,000 is a ton for a poker tournament, man. I mean, let's be real, that's a lot of money. And so the way it actually works is it's a lot of crowdfunding and backers and investing, and so there's a lot of people that are in this $10,000 tournament that usually play like $200 tournaments, if that makes sense. And then, but that's like part of what makes it great. The thing with poker, the World Series main has a brand name like that's really big. I mean, it's like, the Super Bowl, Masters. Like World Series main has like a super elite brand. Beyond the World Series main, poker falls, but man, the main still has the prestige, which is really cool. And then as far as making the money, the way it works, I think they're right now they're thinking it's going to be, I don't know, this thing's going to end up with like 9,000 to 10,000 people in it, which is one of the biggest mains of all time, which is crazy. Which is great, showing the poker boom out of COVID. Usually you make the money like late day 3 or early day 4. I mean, this thing is the biggest marathon of all time. Like the levels are 2 hours each. You get 60,000 chips. I mean, it's a huge grind. But that's kind of part of what makes it great. This isn't something you'd really want to do more than once or twice a year, because if you make the final table of this, it's like day 7 or day 8. I mean, it's nuts.
So another elementary question: how do you prepare for something like this? Like, what do you do?
Well, to be truthful, this year it's a lot of people study and watch training videos and play a lot, and a lot of times they're great resources talking poker with your peers. Like if you're in a friend group where people are good, you talk hand histories, like what I do right, what I need to do wrong. Is a big way to help. But to be real truthful, I mean, you follow me and what's going on. I mean, I played poker 5 times in 2022. I mean, I've been really, really busy with Barstool, and I am lucky that I still have a good reputation from my back in the day and in the poker world, and because I've done well in this, that I've got buddies that just put me in. But as far as preparation goes, I mean, I played a couple of smaller events like Saturday and Sunday, but, I'm kind of coming in here and just relying on my, the 6 other times I played this thing and a lot of feel. And, I feel, still, I wouldn't say my game's like an A+ sharpness, but I think I got a shot here.
Barstool Sports' Ben Mintz joins us right now from the World Series of Poker out there in Vegas. So, first of all, if people want to watch this, because I remember back in the day staying up late watching the World Series of Poker on ESPN. But you had something going last night. It was not on ESPN, but you could watch it, and you were like dead center featured next to the legend Phil Ivey, who, as I understand it, you outlasted, right? Like he's out of this thing already.
Yeah.
So how was that like? And then when you're done with that, how can people watch this moving forward? Like, where can you find it?
Okay. So basically, it's not on ESPN anymore. CBS Sports airs it, but they don't air it for a couple of months. The way to follow it now is the Poker Go YouTube stream. And they do, and so it's just Poker Go, and they'll do a couple hours free streams, and some of it's like a subscription thing. But that's the way to watch it. I was on the Poker Go stream last night with Phil Ivey, and man, the stuff with Ivey last night, I mean, dude, I sat by him the whole day, and like I talked to him some, but I'm like, I'm not gonna try to like over annoy Phil Ivey. I'm gonna do some small talk, but be respectful. But he never heard of Barstool. I asked him that. I was like, "Have you ever heard of Barstool a day Portnoy?" He said no. He said his favorite play. I asked him his favorite place to play in the world, and he said Australia, which I thought was cool because I was real curious because I know he's played poker all over the world. But man, he was he's like a. What's interesting with him, he always kind of reminded me of Tiger Woods a lot, and then it's actually similar. Like he's such a prodigy. But that dude just wants to chill and play poker. He doesn't even like all the media stuff at all. He's kind of a low-key dude. But he didn't know. He couldn't believe the Barstool stuff yesterday. He was like, who the hell are you? Like with all the hype with the Barstool stuff. Like he didn't know what – he literally didn't know what was going on. Like he was seeing, the stream with me and him on it. He's like, who's this dude? Like what is going on? It was super cool. And that's the first time I've ever played like a feature table. And it's different when you're on that feature table, man. It's hot as heck on that thing, man. Those lights, it's like lights everywhere. And I usually like to have like an earbud in to listen to music, keep my energy up. You can't do that. So it was a little bit of a different deal for sure.
So was it you that knocked him out?
No.
Oh.
I was at his table. He got knocked out. Like I was at his table the first like 6 hours, and then our table broke, and he got knocked out later. We didn't, even though he was on my left, he got me in like one real small pot where the board was like there was 8-7-5 queen on the board, and he had queen 10 and I had queen 9, and he like bet small on the river, and I called. He had me by kicker, but we didn't really. I mean, I'll be real honest. Like I said, I played poker 5 times in 2022. With Phil Ivey sitting on my left, I'm not exactly trying to pick a fight there, I feel like there's a lot better spots than the other 8,000 people in the tournament to do battle with. And so I kind of stayed out of his way. I mean, I wasn't like I wasn't a coward or anything. I mean, we played some together, but I was definitely being like a little defensive to not get myself put in tough situations against him.
That's so cool. I mean, just a poker legend. I remember watching him and like Doyle Brunson and Hellmuth and all those guys way back in the day. I mean, late night on ESPN, World Series of Poker stuff. I mean, that seeing you sitting next to that guy brought me way back to some good childhood memories, breaking curfew and all that.
It did me too. What's interesting is like I literally started playing poker like everybody else at the Moneymaker 03 World Series when he won, and Ivy got knocked out on a really bad beat in that thing late by Moneymaker. And I remember him being on that broadcast, and that was kind of like what got me going playing poker. And then like 19 years later, sitting here by him in the main, just kind of, I don't know, it was cool. But I got interviewed about what it was like to play with him, and they were like, well, were you nervous? I was like, no. I mean, what's there to be nervous about? Like, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? Phil Ivey destroys me in poker. He's done that to 5 million other people, and I've played 5 times this year. I'm just going to enjoy, the spotlight and the opportunity to get to do this. So, it's interesting with poker, Borky. So, like, when I used to play for a living, you put so much more pressure on yourself. But, man, I'm just out here enjoying playing the main. I hope I make a big run. It would be awesome, especially with Barstool and the media. But, this ain't my job. I got a paycheck coming next week regardless. And so that kind of is a whole different, like, mental state for it.
Maybe loosens you up and has you play better, right?
Yeah, I was playing, I think so. I felt like I played pretty good yesterday. I mean, you start with 60,000 and I ended with 54, but that's fine in the main. The main being such a marathon, it's not a big deal to bag a little less. I still got plenty going to day 2. I can't say, like I said, though, I mean, playing 5 times in a year, I mean, I'd be lying to you if I said, like, my game was like, oh, man, I'm, at the apex of my game. But, I think what will happen in the future, I do want to get more back into poker in the future, and I think that's going to happen in the next few years.
And for those out there listening that are interested in poker, you guys have a podcast, right? You and Smitty and somebody else, right, do a poker podcast? Yeah,
it's Cracking Aces, the Barstool Poker Pod. And both Smitty and Nate are doing well on day 2 of the main. They backed really big stacks. I just saw Smitty got like $300K on the first break of day 2. So I'm thrilled to see him doing really, really well. Nate had like $200K going into the day. So we've got actually a pro named Jake Toole who's really good, part of the pod too. And so everybody's still alive in the main here going to day 2, and hopefully we make some runs. And yeah, it's always been a funny thing because Dave gives Nate a lot of crap. They've always had it out over the years. So Dave has not really supported the poker the most. And then yesterday when I got at the featured table, Dave threw like more support to Barstool Poker than he started 10 years. And so that was like really, really funny. Like Dave, I don't know if you saw Dave Portnoy's Twitter yesterday. He was really, really going nuts about like the graphic of me and Phil Ivey, and he's like, Mitzi is. And I was just sitting there like, how the hell is this real life, man? This is like a joke. I think I live in a simulation.
Man, would love to talk some sports. We're up